Welcome into the We Know Ball Show. I'm Connor Fuchsa.
I'm Melissa Brandon.
And I'm Mason Belisle.
Now we're back in the studio for week 3. We had to take a week off last week with some technical issues, but for this week we're back, and what better way to be back right after Thursday Night Football, Cowboys-Giants. You know where we're going to start. We're going to start with the Cowboys win. What are y'all's thoughts on last night's game?
I am honestly just extremely relieved because it was looking a little bit rough for us Cowboy fans. And a 5-point victory over the Giants doesn't really put the biggest sigh of relief or smile on my face, but I'm honestly just happy that we got the win at first. And also, we can just all acknowledge Dak Prescott owns the New York Giants. He is 13
straight.
13 straight.
Not 13
13
no.
no.
13 straight,
okay,
yeah.
Yeah, he lost his first two, now he's 13 0.
Yeah.
He owns the Giants just like how Aaron Rodgers owned the Bears. That's the same to me.
Yeah. We do have ownership. He honestly does have ownership in New York now.
Yeah.
If you haven't lost in 13 games to a team, and then usually they're not close. Honestly, the sad part was this one was kind of close.
Yeah.
But I feel like the last 3 or 4 years, it's been like 20-point victories every single game.
Yeah, that's my initial reaction is that I'm happy, but I'm also a little bit scared because we usually dominate the Giants, and that was not dominant whatsoever, honestly.
Yeah.
Nothing about the Cowboys is dominant this season.
Okay. And we killed the Browns, but
you killed the Browns? Oh, good for you. Yeah. The diddler. Okay, anyways. Well, when you talk about the Dallas Cowboys offense, you're like, oh, they have so much star power, so many talents.
I honestly don't think anyone's really saying that.
I feel like
though.
we don't. We really got
you
Dak
do.
and CD.
You have Dak, CD. You have a great O-line.
Not really this year as much, because the 2 rookies, especially Guyton last night,
Yep.
man had like 5 holding
That's
penalties
another
against
takeaway
him.
we can have in this game. I'm very afraid for Tyler Guyton in his position.
Okay, I guess I didn't watch the whole game last night, but in the preseason he looked.
Guyton did look really good, and he obviously looked really good in college. And honestly, even week 1, somehow against Myles Garrett, he looked pretty good. But for some reason, Thibodeau was just giving him trouble last night.
And it was just the penalties last night. I mean, if that's one of the biggest storylines from last night too, there were flags quite literally every play.
It felt like it.
Every play. And it was a lot of holding. And I don't know how much of that is on Guyton or just on the officials, but I mean, he's got to be doing something wrong.
Yeah. However, I'm not going to lie. From watching those back, the couple they did replay from Guyton holding, I honestly didn't really think they were much of holds. They got BB for a hold, it was. They got Martin, I think, for one, it was. But Guyton's, they low-key really didn't look that much like holding. It was like he almost tried too hard to sell that he didn't do anything, that the refs just assumed he did do something, and they flagged him. So I don't put too much on him there, but still, the O-line is definitely not what it used to be of recent years. I mean, we lost Smith in the offseason, we lost Biotish in the offseason. We lost 2 really good O-linemen, and they're replaced by rookies.
Yeah, I think having 2 starting rookies on the line is really starting to show its wear on just the offense as a whole because, I mean, everyone already knows this, but we have absolutely 0 rushing game.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing how much... I think before this game, I heard we were throwing the ball on 70% of plays, which is never really, honestly, what the Cowboys' offense has been, especially with Ezekiel Elliott on the roster. But he is absolutely non-existent in that offense now.
I mean, he got 19 yards last night. I think he
know.
had 8
I saw him
carries for
catch
19
one
yards.
receiving, catch a pass. I honestly didn't see him rush the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, where's Dalvin Cook?
He's still in the practice squad
They won't
haven't even elevated him
They
yet.
will not elevate
that
him.
is
Over Deuce
unbelievable.
Vaughn. That's the crazy
I
part.
don't understand it. I really do not.
Who even is Rico Dowdle?
Great question.
He's our best running back right now.
Rusher,
Yeah, don't
and that tells you
disrespect him.
everything you need to know.
Yeah. It's just I don't know what Jerry Jones is doing with that team, and we'll see when we get deeper into the season what he does, especially with Dalvin Cook. But beating the Giants by 5, that's just not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, might as well count it as a loss, honestly.
Yeah.
To any other team, it probably would have been a loss then. A couple storylines I do want to get into from last night, though. A big one coming out last night is the defensive injuries for the Cowboys. So going into the game, obviously we know Bland's been out. He's been on IR. The rookie Carson, the cornerback, was out. And we saw very quickly there's not much cornerback depth in Dallas. Parsons went down at the end of the game. Diggs had to go to the locker room, and even Lawrence went out. Those are 5 of probably your 6 best defensive players. Besides Overshown, who looks like a dog and stayed out there all game, that's 5 of your best defensive players all either out or went out during this game.
Yeah. No, I think that's been huge for us already, and we already were thin at secondary, and then down when we lost Bland, and then we have Malik Hooker out there, and then a guy that starts with M. I wish I knew his name, but I don't, and that says a lot.
And that really does.
As as you could guess, they got absolutely blown up by Malik Neighbors. I mean,
and Wan'Dale Robinson. Of all people, Wan'Dale Robinson was tearing apart the secondary.
And it's okay for Malik Neighbors to go off because that's expected.
Yeah.
Not as okay for Wan'Dale Robinson. And honestly though, if we sit back here and do look at it, they let up 15 points. So I guess for a really inexperienced secondary that's lacking depth, it's not awful.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a cause for concern because what if Malik Hooker gets injured? Like, who's the next guy up? I don't know.
Now, the depth is a big worry in Dallas for the defense right now.
It's expected.
Yeah.
To, not let Daniel Jones score a lot of points. So that was expected. 15 points as expected. But this year, it looks like the injury bug is just getting everywhere.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, the 49ers, Rams, etc. It's bad.
I saw someone even come out and talk about I would never be in support of this, but injury wise, some people were coming out after last night's game saying Thursday Night Football might need to be got rid of because it's too short of weeks. There were so many injuries last night, for both sides, just even crampings because players just weren't
you saw
ready.
Trayvon Diggs.
Exactly.
He had to be literally taken to the locker room for an IV because of cramping.
Exactly. So maybe it's the short weeks, especially with the long schedules that's getting players. I don't know, but there is definitely an injury bug going around.
Yeah.
Now I got one more thing I want to talk about from last night. It's a little bit interesting. We kind of talked about it a little bit last night because we did watch the game. And it's about Brandon Aubrey, and it's about the Cowboys' best player. So we all know, at least I would personally say Dak Prescott's the best player on the Cowboys. Because the quarterback is the most important position on the field. So he is the best player. But there's CeeDee, there's Parsons, and there's Aubrey. Where would you put Aubrey? It's a kicker. It's random. Where would you put him? Would you put him as our second best player, our third best, or would you put him at fourth?
For fantasy first.
For fantasy first, honestly.
But in terms of that, fourth.
Because, in my opinion, this year has been really weird with the kickers. And especially a kicker like Aubrey, it basically is known for Cowboys fans, if you get to the 50-yard line, you were getting 3 points. Now, obviously, we jinxed him last night, and he missed the last field goal of the game. But outside, what was that? That was maybe his first miss from 50-plus?
That
was his first miss from 50-plus. His entire career.
Yeah.
Between last season and this year, his first miss from 50-plus.
And last week, he made a 65-yarder. So
exactly. Yeah.
That's and the fact that they even have the confidence to put him out there. And they were even, what was it last week? They were debating putting him out there on a 70.
There was a 68-yarder they almost put him out on 2 weeks ago.
And it was the broadcasters are in question, are they going to put them out there? In any other team, it's automatically, we know you're punting. But Brandon Aubrey, honestly, is in a league of his own right now for punters. I would compare it to kind of the Justin Tucker area where he was that dominant. Everyone knows he's money kicking.
Yeah.
And, Justin Tucker's kind of a little bit falling off now, but I think Brandon Aubrey's kind of taken over that role.
It's also kind of crazy when you think about it. The reason I sparked this debate is obviously a quarterback's the most important position in football. No doubt about it. But a guy like CeeDee, we've seen teams, you can take him out of the game.
Yeah.
A guy like Parsons, we've seen in playoff games plenty of times. Teams can take him out of the game and go away from him. You technically can't take a kicker out of the game. So he almost feels like it's really important to the offense. Technically speaking, the kicker scores the most points for a team in your NFL season.
Right.
And it's something you can't take away from a team. It's if you get to the 50-yard line, Aubrey's putting 3 on the board.
The Giants only scored field goals
this
game. So if we're talking about most point getter in NFL teams, I know we're talking about the Giants here, but kickers are making sure that they are those players getting the points. And that goes crazy for fantasy, honestly. And our own shout out Tyler Tripodi, who drafted Brandon Aubrey #1 overall in our fantasy draft. That just shows you. Not that decision was justified.
But it almost just seemed if it's better picked than if he picked Christian McCaffrey #1, because
right.
that guy's not going to play this year.
That's crazy.
So.
If you would have said that at the beginning of the preseason, everyone would have called you absolutely stupid. But
yeah. Nah, I still wouldn't condone picking a kicker in the first round.
I agree.
But you know what? Maybe a 9th round pick for Brandon Aubrey actually isn't that wild.
Yeah.
But now let's move it over to our next topic of debate. Still sticking with the Cowboys. And it's something we all experience as Oklahoma State Cowboys fans as well. I want to call it the Cowboys curse. I don't know what you want to call it, but there are so many similarities between this OSU Cowboys team and the Dallas Cowboys team. And I know you've wanted to write about it, so I'll let you go off for a second about it.
Yeah, I'll let you have some airtime too. But I just can't believe the weaknesses are exactly parallel. Both running rush defenses, absolutely garbage. Both red zone offense, honestly, bad. Both, what else?
Both teams can't run the ball.
No running game.
Which is crazy because one does have Ollie Gordon.
When it looks like you had a dominant running back, Ollie Gordon, no one would really call Ezekiel Elliott dominant at this point, but he was at one time. But absolutely running game disappeared.
No
rushing
secondary.
defense.
No secondary. Yeah.
And like this, their second half teams.
Yeah.
OSU 2 weeks ago against who did we
Arkansas.
play? Arkansas. We literally had all of our offense in the second half. No one gave us a chance in the first because we absolutely laid an egg. Cowboys do the same exact thing last week at versus the Ravens.
Yeah.
We had no chance. Then go down and score two touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and then we let everyone down.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The similarities between that Ravens-Cowboys game and that Utah-Oklahoma State game were like uncanny. Both teams go down it was like 22-3 for Oklahoma State, and for the Ravens, I think it was 25-6 maybe.
Yeah,
It was 25-6. Both teams decided to not show up all day, look terrible. Fourth quarter, somehow both scored 2 touchdowns, get it within 3, give their fans hope, and then lose the game.
I do want to reference this also. Both Oklahoma schools were at 22-3 at some point.
In that last week, yeah.
Yeah, and then we both scored, making it 22-9. The only difference was we got the 2 point, they didn't.
Yeah.
But I thought it was so funny because I went to my friends down at OU. I was like, for calling us little brother a lot, you sure do like to play like us.
Hey, and who got the 2 point too? So who played better?
Exactly.
I mean, they played Tennessee though, so I can't really say much. Tennessee's definitely a better team than Utah with their backup quarterback, but. We don't need to talk about that. We can get to Oklahoma State later, but I thought it was just interesting to bring up just these similarities between those two teams. Now, quickly, before we get to commercial break, we're going to hit one more topic. It's about the Vikings. So there's this team that I feel like none of us expected to be 3-0. Honestly, there's that big meme going around from that popular podcast where everyone thought the Vikings were going to be 0-3. Now they're 3-0. They faced the likes of San Francisco and Houston, and they've convincingly beat both, and now Sam Darnold's looking like a baller. What are y'all's thoughts on the Vikings? Are they legit, or is this just some fluke run at the beginning of the season and we're about to come back down to reality?
I think they're legit, and I think it's because Sam Darnold is actually legit. And everyone counted him out because guess what? He was on the Jets. And guess where he went? Carolina, the Panthers. Those are two of the worst offenses in the past 5 years in NFL teams. He had no targets to throw the ball to. And when you're a rookie quarterback trying to develop, you need targets to throw the ball to. And so now it's literally he's having his rookie year breakout season because he's in an actual offense that has weapons, i.e. Justin Jefferson. So I think he's legit.
Yeah.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Always got to be opposite, y'all too.
There's nothing that he's special. Anybody can throw it to Justin Jefferson.
But, I mean, here's what I will say. Anyone can throw it to Justin Jefferson, but he's been throwing it to Naylor with Jordan Addison now. He's been throwing it to random guys. He doesn't even have Hawkinson yet.
I'm not saying he's not a quarterback.
Yeah.
He's a quarterback, but it's just nothing special about that Vikings team besides Justin Jefferson that this is just a fluke. This is just like the Steelers going 11-0. This is just like the Eagles going undefeated and then losing.
Yeah.
It's just like that. There's always a team that does that. The Arizona Cardinals. There's always a team that does that.
No, I can agree with that in the sense of people call them Super Bowl contenders. I think is wild.
No.
Sam Darnold, no offense, he has looked great. He is going to come back down to reality, but I think he still is going to be a good quarterback this season. I think he is just better than people thought he was. And I really love the defense. Brian Flores is doing an amazing job with that defense. I mean, they lead the NFL in sacks. They've got 16 sacks through 3 weeks. They've held Houston, who's a powerhouse offense, to 7. San Francisco to 17. Giants, but the Giants to 6. They've only given up 30 points through 3 weeks. The defense is what actually makes me think they can go a lot further than people expected. Because this is the defense in recent years that we're talking about Kirk Cousins throwing for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns and losing the game because the defense gave up 40.
Right.
So, the way this defense has turned around is what gives me a lot of hope for this team. But what does worry me is how much can Sam Darnold take them? And then also just, again, outside of Jefferson. Obviously, Hawkinson will come back eventually, but the weapons outside of Jefferson.
I think the biggest thing, too, though, is that they've already conquered their 2 biggest opponents on their schedule, the 49ers and the Texans.
That's my Super Bowl matchup.
Literally, if you can beat both of those teams, what is stopping you from beating the rest of the teams on your schedule? Because honestly, that's the hardest stretch, and you're in the clear. So.
But also, I think we forget that he took the Panthers to 3-0 and then just...
But that was against, again, a lot worse competition. He wasn't facing 49ers in Houston and beating them. But I will say, they've got a rough schedule still coming up. They did just go through 2 of the best teams in the NFL, and the gauntlet coming up in their next 4 is the Packers, with maybe Jordan Love back, the Jets, the Lions, and the Rams. And the Rams at that point will be coming off their bye week, so they should be getting Puka and Kupp back for that game. That's hard. But then after that, they get to face the 3 worst teams in the AFC South. They get to face the Bears twice, Seahawks, Cardinals. So honestly, I think almost with how they've started, they've almost become a lock for the playoffs.
Yeah.
But where they'll go in the playoffs. I see the ceiling about where the Cowboys' ceiling is. Maybe one
Agreed.
playoff win and then kill in the divisional. So, well, that's all about the Vikings. Let's head to commercial break real quick. And when we get back, we're going to do a worry meter for the 0-3 and 1-2 teams.
Computer issue? Meet AB Computers, Stillwater's trusted experts in computer repairs. We understand how important your devices are to you. That's why we offer fast turnaround times, so you're never disconnected for long.
Hello, my name is Roger Smith. I'm the owner of AB Computers here in Stillwater. I offer excellent services for repairs, upgrades, custom build of systems. I do Mac and PC repair. I've got best prices on pretty much everything you can look for.
We service all types of computers, from PCs and gaming rigs to tablets and everything in between. Whatever your tech needs, AB Computers is your one-stop solution. Whether it's a locked screen, a sluggish system, or any other tech trouble, AB Computers has you covered. Visit us at 211 North Perkins Road, Suite number 10, right next to Walmart. Our new location offers easy access and plenty of parking, making it more convenient than ever to get the expert help you need.
Ace in the Bowl salsa started many, many years ago. I was trying to find a recipe to take to a family gathering, and so I started messing around with different recipes, and I took a little bit from here and a little bit from there, and I came up with a salsa that is truly unique. Ace in the Bowl salsa is an olive oil-based salsa with tomatoes, green chilies, green onions, and black olives. There's no sugar added, it's gluten-free, low calorie, low carb, low fat, low sodium. So it's a very, very, very good alternative to any snack you may want. As of right now, I'm just looking to be in Oklahoma and having a successful business within the state. If my grandkids could ever take it over when they're old enough, that would be my dream.
Welcome back to We Know Ball. Now we're back from the commercial break. We started off talking about the Cowboys, talking about the Vikings. Now we're going to do a fun segment. It's called the Worry Meter. So there's a lot of 0-3 and 1-2 teams. There's actually 17. More of the league has actually got a losing record right now than they got a winning record right now. So I'm going to talk about how worried we are. So we're going to go through some teams, talk about on a scale from 0 to 10 how worried we are for the rest of their season. 10 being we're extremely worried this team's about to lose every single game. 0 being they'll be fine, they'll make the playoffs, they'll turn it around. And then everywhere in the middle, obviously, with that. So let's start off. We're going to go by division. We're going to start off with the AFC East, and we're going to start off with the Miami Dolphins. How worried are y'all scale of 0 to 10?
This is hard because so many things are up in the air, but I'm going to be at a solid 5 because we don't know if Tua's coming back. We don't know. Skylar Thompson is also injured. If Tua comes back and they get their weapons back involved, I think they could still maybe make the playoffs. But if that doesn't happen, no, absolutely not.
So what you got on
So I
number
got a
wise?
5.
5? Okay.
6. I'm good at 6.
I'm going to go a little bit higher, and I'm going to go like 7 or 8. Because my thought process on it is, even before Tua went down, they were losing like 34-3 to the Bills. Before Tua even went down. They kind of showed all their flaws, and we've seen them be flukes before. So if they're going to go like 1-4, 1-5 even before Tua gets back, that's saying he gets back by like week 7 or 8.
Right.
I don't think they can turn around and make playoffs. So
Yeah, bringing him back doesn't guarantee wins. So.
yes. Now let's go to the next team in the AFC East. This one's going to be a little controversial because of someone at this table. The Patriots. Mason?
0.
No, you
I'm
cannot.
just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm very worried. 7.
7?
Because if we don't start putting in Drake May more and not keeping Jacoby Brissett, I think we go 1-16.
Yeah.
I feel like this should be higher than a 7 then.
Yeah.
Well, if we put in Drake May, which I know we will,
Yeah.
by like week 6 or 7, then we'll be way better off.
Okay.
Because we can't keep ending up with Jacoby Brissett getting 150 passing yards per game.
Yeah.
Like, you're showing Drake May to be just a terrible quarterback.
Yeah.
So I feel like once we get Drake May in, we get new life into this team.
Yeah.
I won't be so worried anymore.
Okay.
I'm extremely worried, and I have been extremely worried. Honestly, it's not even that I'm like worried anymore. It's just I'm like set in my fate that I'm
They're gonna
at a
suck.
10.
Yeah.
They're gonna be one of the worst teams.
I'm not going to lie. I'm also going 10.
So sorry.
I'm sorry. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. I think they may be the worst or the second worst team in the NFL.
I agree.
You think they're worse? You think they're worse than the Panthers?
That's why I said probably worst or second worst.
Hey,
I mean,
Andy Dalton's bringing
the
those
Red
Panthers
Rifle
back.
looked amazing last week, but no, I think they probably could be better than the Panthers. But I think the Panthers have more talent.
The Panthers
I mean,
have receiving
they've got better. Yeah, they at least have
options.
Deontay Johnson. They've at least got. I mean, I like their defense. They've got some good pieces
They
in the
have
defense.
possibly Jonathan Brooks maybe coming back. Maybe he'll make a late push for them. I just don't.
Y'all have like literally nothing I'm excited about.
Demario Douglas.
I see. The only thing I was happy about with your team was Ramondre Stevenson, and now he got me 0.3 fantasy points last week, so I don't like him.
Goodness.
So again, maybe you're second worst, but honestly, I don't see any other team besides the Panthers that y'all are better than. So it's
The
10.
Raiders.
No,
Yes.
we'll get to the Raiders though. We'll get to the Raiders. Now we're gonna go over to the AFC North. Supposedly supposed to be one of the best divisions in football. 3 teams with a losing record right now. We're gonna start off with the most concerning of them, the Ravens.
I'm not that worried, honestly. The Ravens kind of do this. I kind of anticipate them to bounce back and win more games. They just have too many amazing weapons on
yeah.
offense. The combination of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry is just absolutely lethal if you even have like an half decent rushing defense. I mean, we saw it with the Cowboys, but our rushing
That's
defense
not
is
half
awful.
decent. Yes.
Yeah, but they just have too much power on that side of the ball that I see them winning a lot more games. And even though they're in a tough division, I think they make a wild card spot at least. So I'd say like a 3.
Okay. Also, by the way, for purposes of the audience, we're going to be averaging our scores. That's how we're going to get them on the worry meter because we're obviously saying different things. So the average of our scores is where they're going to end up on the meter for the graphic. Mason, what do you got?
I agree, but I'm
3?
gonna go a little bit lower. I'm gonna go 2.
I'm going to go a little bit higher, so I'm going to go 4. So we'll average out of 3.
Yeah.
Because I've been, first show I
You've
came
been
on
a
here and
Ravens
talked about,
hater.
the Ravens defense being concerning for me. And so far, I've been kind of proven right. That secondary has been actually giving up the most passing yards in the entire NFL so far through 3 weeks. So I am a little worried about how far their defense can take them this year. And there's honestly been a couple other teams in the AFC that look better. And so for them, they're going to make the playoffs. That's not really, I guess, the worry. That's why it's a 4. But I don't think they're making it back to the AFC Championship. So that's why I got them at a 4.
Yeah.
But now let's move over to another team in the AFC North, the Cleveland Browns. Currently sitting at 1-2, only win over they won the Giants? They beat the Giants,
They beat the Giants.
and that's it.
Good job. Way to go. It's a big one.
What do we got for the Cleveland Browns?
I got a solid 8. I'm not as worried as the Patriots. I think they could probably sneak in a couple wins, but it's looking really rough for Deshaun Watson, and it's continuing to. Everyone's been waiting for him to act like the player he's being paid as, and he continues to underperform. And he also said in the media this week, he was like, I don't want to rush the ball. Like, okay, that's how, honestly, you win games in the NFL is having a rushing quarterback. Look at Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Rushing quarterbacks win games. So if you don't even want to do that, I don't give you really any chance to win games.
I'm gonna go 7 because I agree with the offensive part. Their defense is still solid.
Yeah.
So it'll save them in a couple of games there. So yeah, 7.
I think I'm also going to go with an 8 here. Just because, the offense looks terrible. Obviously, they will get Nick Chubb back. We'll see if that can maybe turn around. Having a good run game maybe will help open up the pass. And Njoku will be back soon as well. So they're about to get their offensive pieces back. And this is a team that I loved, obviously, preseason. I put them in my playoff picture. But Deshaun Watson just looks so much worse than I thought. So I've got him at an 8.
I agree.
Now, final team in the AFC North, Cincinnati Bengals. Sitting at 0-3 right now with losses to the Patriots, the Chiefs, and then now the Commanders. Little concerning losses considering they've got a really hard schedule coming up. I mean, being in the AFC North, yes, 2 of those teams have losing records, but it's still a hard division. They've still got a hard schedule. What do y'all think?
I think 10.
10? Yeah.
I think with this start, it's going to be really, really hard to make the playoffs for them.
Yeah.
Especially because you said the hard schedule. I just don't see. I don't know. I don't know really what they're doing wrong. I mean, they're doing good things. Like they scored 4 touchdowns.
They
Yeah.
scored
3?
33 points on the Commanders, which isn't bad, but I mean the Commanders' defense isn't that stout. But
Yeah, they had 0 turnovers.
They didn't punt. They
Yeah.
scored every time they
0
touched the ball except for a
turnovers.
turnover on downs
They're the first team to lose a game like that.
without punting the ball.
Right.
That's very worrisome for sure.
Yeah.
I'm worried, but I'm not as worried. I say just because they are putting points they're starting to put points up on offense. The offense is functioning. It's really just the defense that has a problem.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I'd probably go like 7. I think that they have had a rough start, and like you said, that's going to definitely set them back. But if you look at the end of their schedule, their last 4 games are Titans, Browns, Broncos, Steelers, which Steelers are kind of, we don't really know who they are as of now. So that could be either a good or a bad game.
Kidding.
But I'm just
Dominators.
saying the end of their schedule has a little bit of a potential for them to maybe make a case to be a playoff team, but I'm still pretty worried just because the amount Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, 2 decent running backs, how are you not like winning games?
Yeah. I'm going to go with an 8 just because, yes, they do got Joe Burrow, they got Jamar Chase. T. Higgins will get more involved coming up. The run game is looking a little bit better this past week, but if you can go an entire game and not punt the ball and still lose, that defense is and to Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, that's atrocious.
Yeah.
They're not going to be that good. Now, we're going to speed it up because we are going pretty slow right now, so let's start firing off a couple more. The Colts, what do you got?
I'm just going to go with a 5. 5. I hope Anthony Richardson plays better, and I hope they turn it around.
Yeah.
3.
3. Okay, I'm going to go 6 just because I'm a little more worried because of the fact that they've looked so bad. They faced a Malik Willis Packers and lost. And they looked great week 1, haven't looked great since. Now let's go to another team in the AFC South. Tennessee Titans. What do you got over here, Miss? They're going to make the playoffs, and now they're 0-3.
For my making the playoffs prediction, I'm at a 10. For an overall worry ranking, I'll probably go 7. I am really worried. I'm not going to redact that they're going to make the playoffs yet because it's been 3 weeks. I can't go back on this yet. We have to give Will Levis a little bit more of a chance. But
There's my thumbnail.
Get the Will Levis.
okay, the defense though has been good.
Defense has been really
They
good.
just have to turn it around on offense. Will Levis has to stop turning the ball over, and then they can win games.
Yeah.
10. As long as Will Levis is back there, 10.
I'm going to go 7 just because of the expectations for them preseason weren't high. Will Levis absolutely sucks, so that's why it's a 7, but the defense has looked really good. Honestly, I don't want to say they've been unlucky, but it seems like they should have at least
have been
won one of
unlucky.
these first 3. Like they felt like they were winning these games, and they just kept falling apart, probably because of Will Levis. So I'm going to go with a 7. Next up, we got the Jags, also 0-3. What are we thinking? It's crazy they got some talent, but they're 0-3.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with Trevor Lawrence, so I'm just go with a 7.
Yeah.
I'm going with a 10. I am actually severely disappointed in Trevor Lawrence, and any offense that they can produce just seems to be non-existent, and I don't know if Doug Peterson should honestly have a coaching job at the end of the season, so I'm going 10.
Yeah, I'm going to go 8. I'm actually more concerned about the Jags than I am the Titans, just because the Titans have at least shown some promise and played in some good games. Jags just got killed by, 37? I mean, it is the Bills, but got killed by 37. Yeah. And they have the talent, which is the confusing part. Like, Titans know where to address their problem. It's quarterback. Where do you address the problem with the Jags? It just seems like it's all over right now. Yeah. So, I'm going with an 8. Now, moving over to the AFC West, the Denver Broncos, 1-2. What are we thinking?
I'm thinking like 5. I would have said probably like 8 the week before this past week. But Bo Nix, I mean, he started to look a little bit more comfortable, and he played a really good game this past week. So I think it's going to take a little bit of time for him to settle in. I don't think their expectations are to make a playoff push.
Yeah.
So for where they are now and where their expectations are at, I mean, I think they're decently performing to where they're at. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I don't think it's a season down the drain.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bo Nix is playing perfectly for the Broncos to get a top 10 pick. So I am going to say a 4.
I'm gonna say like a 6, 7. I don't know. Like again, they're not a team that had high expectations. At least Nix is looking good for you right now. Obviously, Patrick Surtain has been absolutely clamps in that secondary. Honestly, the secondary as a whole look good. They've got some promise. They've got potential at least. Some of these bad teams, it doesn't look like they got anywhere. At least the Broncos look like they got a future.
Yeah.
Final team from the AFC side. Honestly, the AFC side is doing a lot worse than the NFC side. It's the Las Vegas Raiders. Now they just beat the Ravens.
Right.
Like a couple weeks ago, but other than that, they lost to Carolina Panthers last week.
Yeah, that Panthers game was terrible, so that's why I'm going to go with a 9.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to turn it around because it's not like they're really doing anything wrong. Like you said, they beat the Ravens, but it's just they don't have a lot of talent, period.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a 9, too. I honestly think they're one of the most unstable, bipolar teams in the NFL just because you win 26-23 against Ravens, who are one of the best offenses, and then you give up 36 points to the Andy Dalton Panthers.
Yeah.
Like, where is your identity? Where is your gameplay. There's questions at quarterback. There's issues with Devontae Adams. I am worried.
That's why they're so bipolar, because you can't bet on unseen talent that
Yeah.
they have.
No, I'm honestly, I'm going to put them at an 8. I'm really worried. I mean, I think if they made the switch to Aiden O'Connell, they might be a little bit better off. But again, just you don't really got a quarterback. The defense has looked suspect. It's not looking great for Vegas.
Minshew mania.
No, he's not been like crazy. He doesn't deserve that nickname right now. He's not been playing like it. Now, we got to fire off these last few really quickly. We got 2 minutes till commercial break. Giants, just give me a number.
Oh,
10.
9.
I'm going to go 9, probably. The Chicago Bears, we can talk about this one for a second. What are y'all thinking for the Bears?
4.
4, okay.
I'd say somewhere around 6. I think Caleb Williams has a lot of potential and he's had flashes, but I'm worried because none of those flashes have looked consistent.
I still think they'll sneak in a wild card spot.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna go with like 3. Like they look
Yeah.
like they've got great potential. Odunze is what really made me
Yeah.
move this up to a 3. He's looked amazing. I think Caleb's looked good. The O-line is really suspect though. We're about to get Keenan Allen back. The biggest worry is for me that O-line sucking and DeAndre Swift forgetting how to play football. That's what's worrisome right now. But the defense and the passing game has looked good.
I'd blame that O-line.
Yeah, no, honestly. Now we got 5 more real quick. Atlanta Falcons, Big Kirko's team.
I'm honestly at like a 2.
Yeah.
I still think they're going to be a really great team, and I think Kirk needed a few games to adjust to his injury, and I think they're going to run the table and hopefully win their division.
I'm going to go with a 6.
Ooh, okay. We're gonna be all over the place.
Yeah. I don't think they can run that division, especially
Yeah.
with the Bucks and the Saints there. But I also think that they had higher expectations with Kirko there. And they're doing all right, but it's only the first 3 weeks, so we'll see.
I'm gonna go 5 again for that reason you said about the Bucks and Saints. It's not as much as I'm worried about them. They've looked good, but their expectation was to win this division right now, and the Saints and Bucks honestly look better. Now, another team in that division, Panthers. We can just give a number. Are we all 10?
10.
Yeah. Okay. Cardinals. I'm personally going 2. I love the Arizona Cardinals. Look good against Detroit. Killed the Rams. Look good against Buffalo. They've had 3 really tough matchups and have played close games in all of them. I'm going with a 2.
I'm going to go with a 5 because, like I said, I do dislike the Cardinals right now. I don't think they're good, but right now, looking at their team right now, they're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna go with like a 5. I mean, they did not look good last week, but they did play the Lions, which are a really, really tough defense, and they still put up 13 points, lost by 7. So I think they just, I don't know. I expect a lot better from them, but last week looked a little rough.
All right, now just give me numbers for these last 2. 49ers.
Honestly, like 8.
9.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going to go like 4.
Without
But the
CMC?
injuries, the injuries are concerning.
These players keep consistently getting injured. These aren't players that just occasionally have injuries. Debo Samuel is hurt every year. Christian McCaffrey has struggled every year. George Kittle can't be consistent out there either, whether he's injured or not. So I don't even care if they do come back. What if they get injured again? These are injury-prone players.
True. All right, final one. Los Angeles Rams. All those injuries as well. We talk about injuries.
Yeah, kind of same thing.
But 5 because they're lesser injuries than the 49ers have.
yeah.
I would say I'm going to go with the 7 just because I don't know how Kupp and Nakua are going to come back. But if both those guys come back good, I'm not too worried that the rest of the offense and defense has some pieces.
I'm going to go with like a 4. I think their offense is still pretty stable once you get those pieces back.
Well, leave it to us to turn a segment that's supposed to be like 8 minutes into about 15 minutes. We're going to head to commercial break real quick, and when we get back, we're going to talk about some hot takes.
Pecans are staple to Oklahoma. In fact, many of our native pecans come from trees that are older than Oklahoma statehood.
My father's the one that got us started into the pecan picking. I was probably 10 or 12 years old, and we started off with one little mechanical picker that you pulled behind a four-wheeler. Then we'd go home at night and we'd clean them on a TV tray. I guess watching my dad work hard when we were young, and people started trusting him and getting more and more groves, we just kept growing.
Being a relatively new and fresh company, we get to sit in the same room with people who have been a part of the Oklahoma economy for decades.
It's opened a lot of doors. It's gave us quite a bit of exposure, and I think people, will take a small company like us a little more serious. We're just going to continue growing as long as our community lets us and our customers keep on buying, and we'll see where it takes us.
Welcome back to We Know Ball. Now, we went a little long in the last segment, so we're going to have to speed things up a little bit here. We're going to get some hot takes. It's been my favorite segment we've done so far. It's really fun to talk about. Mason, though, you want to kick it off? What's your hot take you got for right now?
I kind of said it earlier, but Bengals are not making the playoffs.
Okay.
The last 0-3 team to make the playoffs, even before they changed it to an 18-week schedule, was the Texans in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how long it's been since an 0-3 started team has made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And nobody has done it since they moved to a 17-game season.
Mm-hmm.
So I just do not see it, especially with that hard schedule. I do not see them making the playoffs, even though everybody, even me, I have them in my Super Bowl.
They were your Super Bowl pick.
They're not going to make the playoffs.
Wow. Super Bowl to no playoffs.
I know.
That's crazy.
In 3
Crazy
weeks,
fall.
that's how crazy this NFL season has been. Is the fact that I actually agree with him on that.
No,
That's
I do
crazy.
too.
They were my one
It just
seed in the
makes
playoffs.
no sense with how they're structured though. I mean, obviously the defense is bad, but I don't know if I just put way too much trust in Joe Burrow in the past years, but I've always just thought, yeah, Joe Burrow will pull it off. But
But they made the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that means nothing. Honestly, it's crazy that he made the Super Bowl and now it's his legacy is getting tarnished and tarnished more by the year that almost that's getting invalidated in a sense. So other quarterbacks even have made the Super Bowl, like Josh Allen. I almost feel like his resume is more credible now that at least he keeps going far in the playoffs, even if he hasn't made it to that Super Bowl yet. Because at least he's performing.
Well, I'm
Burrow
glad
has
my
not been.
hot take finally got agreed on.
Yes, we have agreed.
I mean, it's not that hot if they're 0-3, but
Well, it still is. It was a Super Bowl
hot
pick
at the
and-
beginning
yes.
of the year.
And I mean, I still agree that honestly, somehow the Bengals just suck every beginning of the year and they'll turn around. I think they'll somehow get to 9-8 somehow, give everyone hope, and they'll miss the playoffs.
Yep,
So,
I agree.
All right, Alyssa, what you got for your hot take?
Okay, so one team that everyone's talking up right now, or prior to this week, was the New Orleans Saints. Oh my gosh, the New Orleans Saints. They beat the Cowboys. They beat the Panthers. Derek Carr, he looks so good. No. My hot take is that the New Orleans Saints are not legit. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're 2-1 right now, but they're not legit. The teams that they have beaten are the Dallas Cowboys, who is 25th total defense overall, 27th rush defense in the league. Then they beat the Panthers 47-10. Panthers defense, 24th overall defense, 29th overall rushing defense. Cool. You can beat up teams with bad overall defenses and bad rush defenses with Alvin Kamara, who's one of the best runners in the league. Then you play the Eagles last week facing the first semi-legit defense, because the Eagles' defense isn't even that great. Then they lose 15-12. They stuttered. Alvin Kamara averaged 3.3 points. Derek Carr played meh. I just think they've played bad defenses in the beginning, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, they're so legit. No, they're not legit. They just haven't played good defenses.
This is interesting because, I agree in the sense of, yes, the Panthers and Cowboys defenses are terrible, but I, for some reason, just do trust in the Saints just because of how dominant their defense has been. Philadelphia and the Cowboys are two of the best offenses in football. Obviously, Panthers, we don't talk about the Panthers. But, the Eagles, last week, again, no A.J. Brown, but they got Saquon. They got Smith. They let Goddard go for 10 catches and 170. But, they've got a really good offense in the Eagles, and they held them to what? Was it 15?
15 points.
Yeah.
But, the Eagles still won the game.
They won the game. But that's what I'm saying. So the offense is where the concern is. Can Derek Carr step up when Alvin Kamara gets shut down? That's the question to me more than anything. Rashid Shaheed disappeared off the face of the earth and got 0 points last week. And so it's if the offense can be consistent enough, but I do believe – I haven't seen their schedule, though, so I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs or not based off what their schedule looks like. But I do believe they can make the playoffs just because of how strong that defense is. But I do agree that they got way too quickly overrated, and honestly, people are still overrating them right now.
In their division, they're with the Atlanta Falcons right now and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, both teams that have potential to win the division. So you have 3 teams right there that have potential to win the division outside of the Panthers. So honestly, I just don't see them as the team that's going to take that.
Yeah. No, that's fair. They do have, there's going to be, I think probably Bucs win that division now. I feel like is what most people are thinking. Yeah. And so, if you have the Falcons and New Orleans are competing for a playoff spot, I could definitely see the Falcons coming on top of that.
Yeah. This is kind of off topic, but what you said about Rashid Shaheed, disappearing off the face of the earth. Can we talk about it? I'm just going to, Mark Andrews, please come back.
Speaking of disappearances.
Help. You've gotten me 2 points this whole season. I drafted you in the 6th round. Why?
Tight ends in general.
Tight ends, we're going to actually get into tight ends.
I'm starting Brock Bowers.
Hey, that's a good, he's the tight end 2 on the year right now. I got Brock Bowers, and I am a big Brock Bowers supporter. He's number 2 tight end on the year. He's a dog.
Hey, hot take, let's just get rid of tight ends in fantasy.
We're going to get into that later, actually. We're actually going to get into that into the fourth block. But before we get into that, I'm going to get into my hot take. Ironic that we all talked about teams that are going to miss the playoffs, but we got progressively hotter. We went from an 0-3 team to miss playoffs to a 2-1 team to miss playoffs. I'm picking a 3-0 team to miss the playoffs, and that is the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks are going to miss the playoffs.
Wow.
They've got 3 wins, but those 3 wins are Bo Nix's first game against Denver, only won by 6. Against the New England Patriots, who we all agreed suck, no offense,
All right.
beat them in overtime. And then beat up against a Skylar Thompson-led Dolphins team that actually he went out, so their third-string quarterback Dolphins team last week. They at least won by 21 that time. They've had 3 really easy games. Haven't looked that dominant yet. The offense, honestly, is a little concerning for me facing these defenses that haven't been that great. And then now their last 14 games, they face San Francisco twice, Falcons, Lions, Bills, Rams twice, Cardinals twice, Jets, Packers, Giants. That's 12 of their last 14 games. I think they will be the underdog in.
Yeah.
So let's say they pull off a couple of those. I think right now, already being 3-0, they win 6 of their last 14 games. That's 9-8. That's not a playoff spot. That's definitely not a playoff spot in this NFC. When we just talked about there's teams like Falcons, Saints, and Bucks all competing. I think Rams, Niners, Cardinals could all compete. I think they're the worst team in their division. I am a Cardinals supporter. I think the Rams, once they get Cup and Nakua back, will pull it back together. And obviously the Niners are still the Niners. Yes, y'all are worried about them, but I still think they're a better football team than the Seahawks, even without some of their star players, let alone when they get some of them back. So I think they're the worst team in the NFC. What is it? NFC West.
NFC West, yeah.
They've got such a hard schedule, and they haven't looked that great, barely beating up on some bad teams. The 3-0 Seahawks, which is very improbable. Like that 3-0 graphic, all of us have seen is like 86% or something like that to make the playoffs. I'm saying they're in that 14% that don't.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly kind of agree with you just because they've kind of had the same thing as the Saints where they've just had a really easy beginning, and they're also sitting in a division that's just absolutely stacked, like you just said. And they have to play both of those teams twice, and both of those teams have injured players right now, so maybe their records are bad, but maybe they come back and are the better teams that we've seen them to be, like 49ers and Rams. So, yeah, later towards the end of the season, I don't think they're going to be winning as many games as a 3-0 start says they are.
Yeah.
I kind of agree. I think they get both wins over the Cardinals. But, yeah, like I said, it's an easy start to the season. They're definitely going to fall off a little bit. But still, right now, they do look good.
Yeah.
Like, their offensive numbers are good.
Yeah.
Like, DK and Geno, it's pretty good. I just want Kenneth Walker to be back from injury, please.
Yeah, they will get K9 back. And honestly, JSN's looked really promising, too, which is nice for them. And, like, I mean, I've even said on the first show that I really like their defense this year because of bringing in Mike McDonald.
Yeah.
So they've got some pieces. It's just I don't think they've looked that great, and still on paper they still don't. I don't trust Geno Smith. I'm a Geno Smith hater. I don't think he's a top 25 quarterback in the league right now.
Wow.
And so with that being said, yes, you can have some talent around you, but when it comes to those bigger matchups, when you got to face defenses like the 49ers, the Jets, the Packers, the Vikings, those type Bills, those type of defenses, I think he's going to fumble under the pressure, and they're going to lose.
I think that's fair. I think he's a top 25 quarterback, but
I mean, 25, I said that off the top of my head.
25 is kinda
At
crazy.
least he's not top 20. That's guaranteed. I don't
Okay.
know that 20-25 range. We'll have to see. I'd have to look into it after the show. But now we're going to move on. We've talked a lot about last week, talked a lot about the past. Let's finally get into this week. Now, last week we didn't have a show. We did do some schedule predictions. They didn't go very well, so I'm kind of glad we didn't have a show. Alyssa did win. We'll give her props for that, though.
let's go.
But now, let's do a new segment. We're going to start doing this every week. Some NFL predictions for week 4 now. We all have the predictions in front of us. We're not going to talk about every game. The graphic will be up on the screen. We're not going to talk about every game. We all got Dallas right last night, but that was pretty easy. Let's talk about some of the more controversial games. So first off, I can see right here, we're split up on that New Orleans-Atlanta game. And now that's a game we were just talking, those two teams we were just talking about. Me and Mason both think New Orleans is going to win. You think the Falcons are going to win. What's your reasoning for the Falcons real quick?
I mean, my reasoning isn't really the Falcons. It's really the reasoning of I don't believe in the Saints.
Yeah.
And I trust Kirk Cousins more than I trust Derek Carr. And I think the Falcons' offense has looked so much better than, I mean, not so much better, but last week I think they just have more potential to be a better offense and put points on the board, and they're more balanced on the defensive side. So.
I will give the Falcons their props for should have beat the Saints. The Chiefs.
Yes.
Right.
But again, I trust Derek Carr again, especially against these NFC South teams. As we saw against the Panthers. I know it's the Panthers again. But again, I trust Derek Carr and Alvin Kamara more than I do Bijan and Kirk.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't agree with that. I do agree. I like Kirk and Bijan better, but Now I'm kind of regretting my pick. I wish I could change it.
Yeah,
I'm actually gonna switch it right now. I'm going to the Falcons. I'm coming to the Falcons side. I honestly kind of forgot that they played the Chiefs last week and they should have won if it weren't for that stupid PI call.
I don't know. The Chiefs to me are the worst 3-0 team.
Whoa.
Yeah.
We got the Seattle Seahawks and the Pittsburgh
Steelers.
Steelers.
Right now, they're the worst 3-0 team.
Okay, that's interesting.
Statistical and
so you're so Patrick Mahomes led team is worse than Geno Smith led team.
And a team that's beat the Ravens, Bengals, Falcons, which are three pretty good teams. Obviously, Bengals are 0-3, but those are three really tough
that they should have lost. Yeah.
But the Seahawks and Pittsburgh have played no one.
I do not care.
Okay.
Pittsburgh played the Falcons, which you are so high about.
Okay. Well, you know what? Move on from that. Yeah, different hot take. Now, other than that, you can see these things. Two of us got Cincy. You've got the Panthers. That's a little wild, but we'll see. We'll move on from there. But another game I want to hit is that Minnesota-Green Bay game. I've got Green Bay. However, that is very much due to Jordan Love playing. If Jordan Love does not play, I'm switching into the Vikings. That's just point-blank period right there. But I keep betting against Green Bay. These last 2 weeks with Malik Willis at quarterback, I've bet against them. I picked the Colts. I forgot how they played last week, but I picked against them again. And they keep winning. The defense is what's been amazing.
He looks like Michael Vick.
Malik Willis has looked good. The defense looked amazing. And then, honestly, Matt LaFleur is just a offensive genius, the way he's been able to use Josh Jacobs these past couple weeks as well. So I think if Jordan Love comes back, he gets that Jaden Reed connection going. And I just feel like, as much as I just talked highly of the Vikings early in the show, I feel like they can't go 4 now. Like, they got to lose one eventually. I think they'll still do great, make the playoffs, but they got to lose one eventually, and it would make sense to lose in Lambeau Field with a Jordan Love returning.
This is the Aaron Jones revenge game. Aaron
Jones is
coming back to Green Bay. He's going to lead this offense. He's had really good games, actually. A lot of people said, like, he's washed, he's old, whatever, blah, blah, blah. No. Sam Darnold's throwing the ball well. He's hitting Justin Jefferson, and the run game is good, too, because they have Aaron Jones. He's going to be a little feisty playing against Green Bay because it's his old team, and they're going to get the dub.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see it. I think Minnesota actually is really good.
I think they are. They're hot. They're going to stay hot through this game. But like I said earlier, they're going to drop a lot. So right now, I think they will win.
Yeah, and I'm also just worried because, honestly, Green Bay's secondaries look really good. So I feel like if there's any game for people to expose Sam Darnold and overreact and be like, oh my gosh, he threw 2 interceptions and 150 yards, he's washed, and he's actually going to be good. But I think in this game, it could be one of those scary games where he has a bad game, and then the media is going to overreact, and then Minnesota will be fine.
Hey, props to us agreeing on a game. Jacksonville and Houston.
Yay! Yeah, that's the only one through the first 8 that we agreed on. That's actually kind of wild.
And Texans are coming off not a good loss, too.
Yeah,
so that
getting
says
killed.
A lot.
So that just says a lot about Jacksonville. Now let's move to the back half of the games. A couple more I want to touch on. That Philadelphia-Tampa Bay playoff rematch. Tampa Bay got the best of them in the playoffs last year. Now Alyssa and I, as the Cowboys fans, are the ones picking the Eagles. And Mason picks the Bucs. So let's talk about that one real quick. Mason, why you got the Bucs?
They're 2-0. They're going to go 2-0 against them. I know the Bucs are coming off a loss.
Yeah.
But I see Baker Mayfield shining against this defense. I know they do have a good defense.
Yeah.
But Darius Slay got hurt, and I just think that with what Jalen Hurts is playing right now, like scoring 15 points against the Saints.
Yeah.
Really. So if they play like that, the Bucs will easily beat them, just like they did in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm honestly kind of I might kind of switch.
No, I'm actually I'm kind of on the fence
afraid.
too now. It's hard to pick games on Fridays too, with all the injuries, not knowing what's going to happen.
It's hard to pick the Eagles when I really despise the Eagles so much, but I picked them to win this game because Rachaad White has really struggled for the Buccaneers running game.
Yeah.
And so I think, and honestly, the Eagles have done well against good running backs. So I mean, I think they have a slight edge in that, but I'm totally on the same page as you. I don't trust Jalen Hurts anymore. I really do not. I think he looks just sporadic, and he doesn't look like he's making smart decisions with the ball ever. So I don't know. It could go either way.
Here's what I'm going to say right now. It all depends on A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
If those guys don't play Sunday, I honestly am picking the Bucs.
Yeah,
like, that is
I
just
agree.
straight. Like, if it's Goddard's his number one target, yeah, Saquon's looked amazing, and Saquon will feast in this game. It's not enough, especially with like what I feel like is going to be just a high-scoring affair. But if one of Smith or A.J. Brown play, I think it's enough to put the Eagles
I think I
over.
saw yesterday that he did not practice.
Both of them did not practice. Yeah. So it's a
That's
little worrisome.
scary.
So again, if they don't play, I'm switching my pick. I'm going to say that right now.
too.
But
Me too.
we'll get into that now. We don't got much time for much more. So the game I want to hit on, we actually all do agree on it, but it's that Buffalo-Baltimore game.
Yeah,
Sunday Night
game of the
Football.
week.
Honestly, I'm actually so happy that's on a primetime game. We're
Me
getting
too.
good primetime games.
Me
Well, I
too.
guess, Cowboys is only a good primetime game because we care about them, but that's primetime. We get another, I love the Monday doubleheaders too.
Me too.
So much. We get another Monday doubleheader, but that Sunday Night Football, Buffalo, Baltimore. We all picked Buffalo. Anyone want to talk about it real quick?
I struggle with this pick too because I honestly, as I did pick the Bills and I do think they're going to win, but this is the game where I see the Buffalo Bills dropping a loss and getting exposed a little bit just because I don't know, I just believe a lot in Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and now that they've actually started giving the ball to Derrick Henry more, I think that could cause problems for the Buffalo defense, although they've done really well. But at the end of the day, I'm relying more on Josh Allen and what he's done with these receivers and the weakened Baltimore secondary that you've talked about. Mm-hmm. I think Josh Allen has done a really good job of making those receivers shine, and I'm 90% certain that he's going to do that for this game, but honestly, wouldn't be surprised if Baltimore wins too.
Yeah. Baltimore's just looking, like I said, how the Chiefs are the worst 3-0 team. The Bills are the best 3-0 team.
Yeah. No, I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
I think Bills have looked like the best team in the NFL for the first 3 weeks.
And I'm not looking at the Ravens for their win against the Cowboys. I'm looking at the Ravens for the loss against the Raiders.
Yeah.
Like, that is terrible.
Yeah.
So
that secondary is going to get picked apart by Josh Allen.
Yeah, that reason alone, losing to Gardner Minshew, I'm picking the Bills.
Yeah. No, we all agree there. Now, that's it for our picks. We don't really have time to talk about any of the other ones, but we do all agree once again, Lions. So we've got a couple. On the second back half, we got more agreements. Last week, we really didn't agree much, but we also.
God, nobody's talking about
all kind of. Oh, we're just gonna ignore the fact you picked the Patriots. We just don't, and the Commanders, honestly. In that,
Patriots are
hey,
winning.
Jalen Daniels
actually,
is really good.
We're on the same page here. We both picked Cardinals. We both picked Niners. We both picked Tennessee. We both picked Raiders. You just wanted to be, and we both picked Eagles. You just want to be different.
Why are you picking the Raiders?
That's a different story. Deshaun Watson sucks, and
I
now
don't
that
trust the Browns.
Yeah, I don't trust the Browns, and honestly,
I don't trust the Raiders either, though.
I trust their defense to get points.
Yeah, I don't know. Both of them, I don't know. They both suck. You gotta go with someone. I want the home team.
Also, picking the Titans is kind of crazy
against the third-string Miami quarterback.
Tyler Huntley might be starting quarterback for Miami.
It's freaking Will Levis.
It's Tyler Huntley.
Tyler Huntley did a pretty good job on the Ravens. So.
Yeah, but still,
don't.
And we're talking about
okay?
we're talking about one of the best secondaries in the league. Any bad quarterback going in there against one of the best secondaries in the league, they're not gonna be able to do anything.
I don't care.
But
it's freaking Will Levis.
We can talk about this all day. We gotta head to commercial break real quick, and we get back. We'll go through a couple more things before the show's over.
We would design something. It was set on the counter, and people was either, if enough of them said, this isn't it never made to the line. Dad was excited that they're all original. They were all designed on Mom's kitchen table, and it gets in your blood after a while.
We're very happy that Pamela and Michael have taken over the business and kept the family going.
We took the business over in 2017. When we found that it was available, we wanted to keep the legacy of family alive, but it was also incredible products that deserved to be a part of Made in Oklahoma's story. We were a part of Made in Oklahoma years ago, and so it kind of grew as Made in Oklahoma grew.
Oklahoma is ingrained into everything that we did. We've been here most of our life. That's what we entailed our whole business on, was the Oklahoma homegrown feeling.
Deep Fork Foods started in 2014. We started off with our nut products, and now we produce everything from jarred products to cookie mixes and pancake mixes and dried products for people, as well as our spice blends. Now we produce over 168 different products for ourselves and about 20 to 30 other companies in Oklahoma.
I'm Cindy Stewart. I'm one of the owners of Deep Fork Foods. We've gone from just making our own stuff and doing just small things to being able to co-pack and work with other companies and individuals within Oklahoma and across the United States as well.
I'm just really thankful for the journey that we've had so far and really look forward to the future where we're taking Deep Fork Foods and being able to provide more value for Oklahoma and its economy, as well as all the people within the state.
I love the opportunities that being in the food business provides. I absolutely love sharing food and good stories with people, so this just gives us another connection. And I can't wait to see where this path takes us with it.
Welcome back into We Know Ball. Now, before the commercial break, went through our schedule predictions for this week. Now we're going to get to our, honestly, my favorite segment. We've had it on every week. It's Hero Zero. It's so much fun. However, we got to get our act together because we didn't have a show last week.
Nope.
And 2 weeks ago, we did not have a very good performance. I mean, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. We had a bad performance. We hit 1. My 0 hit. We had Mason's hero tie, so we're giving it a tie, and then we had 4 losses. You went 0-2. You went 0-1-1, and I went 1-1. So we're not looking great so far for Hero Zeros. We got to get our act together this week.
We're going to get it together.
Yeah. So I'm trusting y'all. I mean, I got to figure out who I'm even going with right now. But Mason, you want to kick it off for your hero? What do you got? Redeem yourself right now.
I know we've been down on tight ends.
Okay.
But I have Cole Kmet.
Okay.
Actually, no, I like that. I like that.
He's projected like 7.7 points.
Really? That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he's Caleb Williams' favorite target besides Adunze last week.
But Adunze, I think Adunze is questionable.
Adunze is questionable.
Yeah.
And then I think
So
Keenan Allen will
Moore.
still be out. Yeah, they're actually all banged up. Yeah.
But Cole Kmet will definitely get over like 10.7 points or
and especially against the Rams. The Rams secondary looks terrible.
Yeah.
Like, especially, I mean, they let Jawan Jennings go for 46 fantasy points last week. So I like the pick. If it was going to be a tight end, I was a little worried when you said tight end. I like that pick.
Mark Andrew.
There's like maybe 2 or 3 tight ends you could actually pick this week to hit above 8 points, and that's pretty
Sucky part is I would have picked Ferguson if he wasn't on Thursday Night Football, but can't do that now. So, Alyssa, what do you got for your hero, though?
Okay, so the point of this is why I keep sucking in Hero Zeros, because I try to pick a guy that no one really talks about because I want to make him the hero. And that's what I'm going to do here. If I keep losing, it's okay. So I'm picking Cam Akers. He's going to be the starting running back for the Houston Texans. So sorry. Joe Mixon is injured. He didn't practice Thursday. Dameon Pierce is injured. He didn't practice Thursday. Cam Akers is in the starting role for playing on the very good Houston offense. They're playing Jacksonville, who has been a decent rushing defense, but we know that teams have run up the score on Jacksonville this entire year. So
how much is he projected?
He's actually projected 12.7.
Really?
So
that's what concerns me a little bit. Is he's projected
kind of
high because he's going to have to get 15 or 16.
I'm going to go with he's going to get 15 points. He scored 9.9 last week. So, shout out Cam Akers.
But I do agree, this could quickly become a blowout. And so if that is the case, game strip will go
They're going to run the ball.
But we'll see. I'm going back and forth.
Mr. I'm so good at Hero Zero.
I'm going back and forth because I'm not going to lie. I was going to pick DJ Moore. But since you picked someone from the Chicago Bears already, I'm going to switch over. I'm going back to Reliable. This is the second time I've picked him in 3 weeks of us doing this.
No.
But he sucked these last 2 weeks. It has been the Chris Godwin show in Tampa Bay all year long. Mike Evans has gotten less than 8 points in the last 2 weeks. Fantasy owners are getting ready to bench him. I'm telling you right now, do not bench Mike Evans this week. He is about to go off. He went off week 1 when I called it, and now they're facing a Philadelphia secondary that is a little suspect. We talked about that earlier. I think teams are now going to be starting to focus Godwin a little more because he has been so dominant, and I think that's going to open up the passing game for Mike Evans, and I think he's going to have maybe another 20-point performance. So don't bench him yet. Don't give up on him yet. Now, finally, quickly, let's go through our zeros. Mason, what do you got?
I've got Jonathan Taylor. He's projected 17+ points.
Yeah. Who's he facing?
They're playing the Steelers.
Oh, yeah.
I do not see him getting 17 points at all.
Yeah.
Not even close.
No, I honestly agree with that. Steelers defense is probably going to clamp up that run game for Indy. Alyssa, what do you got?
My 0 is going to be Tyreek Hill. He has possibly Skylar Thompson, possibly Tyler Huntley at quarterback, probably not Skylar Thompson. If they don't have a quarterback that can throw them the ball, he's not going to perform. He's projected at 13.3. I think he's going to get like 5.
Tyler Huntley can throw the ball.
He cannot throw the ball.
He can
only run it. That's it. Now, see, this is where I keep getting messed up. My 2 picks were going to be from the same team. I was going to pick DJ Moore, you pick Cole Kmet. I was going to pick AR-15, and you picked Jonathan Taylor. So I'm going to switch gears. I had a couple lined up anyways, and this one's going to be a little wild. I'm going Garrett Wilson. He finally had his good performance last week where fantasy owners are happy. He scored a touchdown. Looks like that Rodgers connection is there. But he's getting that Patrick Surtain shadow this week. And no one so far this year has been able to avoid that Patrick Surtain shadow. And I think that means he's going to go under his projection.
He's on my fantasy team, so please don't let that happen.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill, please don't let that happen.
Now let's just hope finally we can get our picks right because we've been sucking the first 2 weeks. But for now, that's all we got for this week's We Know Ball show. We'll be back next week. We'll see y'all for that now.
My name's Dennis Abernathy. Lived here since 1968, and I consider myself one of Stillwater's oldest original family jewelers. Here at Dennis the Jeweler, we're more about personal service My father always told me that anybody can sell the jewelry, and what we're doing is completely different, learning to do the repair work. That is one thing that will keep your business alive, because anybody can sell it, but not anybody can fix it. To me, jewelry is very, very personal. Every piece of jewelry has its own story, and I get to hear hundreds of stories from my clients, which I love to hear. There's always a story with it. I mean, you buy a piece of jewelry for a show of appreciation, a sign of love. There are a lot of different aspects for jewelry when you purchase it.